If the U.S. empire thinks that by invading Venezuela they're going to stop the Bolivarian revolution, they are very much mistaken. They are very much wrong.
Es una cosa ridícula.
That's totally ridiculous.
Una cosa absolutamente ridícula.
Totally ridiculous. This confirms our denunciations. We are facing an empire that wants to become the owner of the world, and they pretend to give orders to the world. Well, those governments that accept the illegitimate orders of the United States, that's their problem. We do not take those orders. That's their problem. Of course, there's a positive side to this. We have no interest whatsoever in buying weapons from the U.S. The arms we have bought from the U.S., we could reject them. We don't want them. We can give them back to the U.S.
But you do have a problem with the United States because they have the power to refine your very specialist oil that you extract in Venezuela. And you are dependent on selling still very large quantities of oil to the United States. They're your biggest consumer.
Ellos dependen de nosotros.
They depend on us. We do not depend on them. If just now, today, I decide to stop selling oil to the U.S., well, among other things, the price of oil just shoot up to, what, $100 a barrel, perhaps? However, this oil will not be lost. There are many people wanted to buy these oil, traders, big consumers in Europe, China, Asia. We are ready, just in case this irrational and crazy government, they decide one of these days, for instance, to expropriate our oil company in the US, Citgo, for instance, or to apply any embargo against us. That will be very bad for them. And I want the world to know that they depend on us. We do not depend on them to place our oil.
Do you think that there is a danger of some action from the United States against Venezuela?
We are careful, preventing them from executing such an ominous plan. There are plans to kill me, for instance, plans to kidnap me, plans to invade Venezuela.
Si el imperio estadounidense,
if the U.S. empire thinks that by invading Venezuela they're going to stop the Bolivarian revolution, they are very much mistaken. They are very much wrong. Or by assassinating me, they're going to stop the impetus of these people, millions of millions. He is very much mistaken, because the result will be the deepening of the revolution, and this will have an impact not only in Venezuela but in the rest of Latin America.
Your own position has been absolutely transformed by the incredible oil price. I mean, only last year you said $50 a barrel was a fair price. Now it's $70. Is that a fair price?
For us, we have always said a fair price should be around $50 a price. I've always said that's a fair price for oil. And I wish it will stabilize between 50 and 60. Now, what might happen is that thanks to the pressure of the United States against Iran, due to that pressure, due to the aggression against Iran, that will be crazy.
President Ahmadinejad of Iran has been talking today about converting his whole oil business from dollar to euro. Do you think about that for Venezuela? I mean, it would affect the value of the dollar.
That's an interesting proposal made by the president of Iran. We are free to choose between the dollar and the euro. What the president of Iran says, well, is recognizing the power of Europe. They succeeded in integrating and have a single currency competing with the dollar. And Venezuela might also consider that in any moment. We are free to do that.
President Ahmadinejad is accused of attempting to develop a nuclear bomb. Do you think he would be wise to develop a nuclear bomb, given the pressure he's under from the United States?
No hay una sola prueba que indique
There is
que
not
Irán
a
está
single
fabricando
evidence that proves that Iran is manufacturing a nuclear weapon. On the contrary, there are statements by senior authorities of the International Energy Organization that says that they are not manufacturing this weapon. And I do believe those statements. I've been to Isfahan. I know they say the truth.
Seguro que dicen la verdad. Tienen moral para plantear esto. Lo que tenemos que pedir.
We have to ask the United States to leave the world in peace, that they leave Iran to develop peaceful energy. Any country could do it. Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela also have the intentions to do that for peaceful purposes.
You are going to become very close to China, supplying a great deal of energy. Why do you find China more attractive, for example, than the United States? I mean, in the United States, there are many Hispanics, for example. You have a lot of cultural ties, but China is a very different country. It's not a democracy. It's something different, which we still don't know quite how it will develop. What is your fondness for China?
Nosotros, Estados Unidos, le suministramos 1,5 millones.
We are supplying the U.S. 1.5 million barrels a day. And even though in China you have a larger population, we are just supplying 300,000 barrels a day to China. However, we want to supply China 1 million barrels a day, more than 1 million in the upcoming years.
Well, that brings us to the question of the war in Iraq. How would you resolve the war in Iraq? What can be done from your perspective? You went there, you saw Saddam Hussein through OPEC. What would you do about Iraq?
Si yo fuera iraquí,
if I were an Iraqi person, I would be resisting. I will be in the trenches. I will be with the rocket launcher, defending my people, defending the holy sovereignty of my country against the abuse and the aggression of the empire.
la única solución, si quisiéramos que la guerra de Irak.
If we want the Iraq war to end and we go backwards to stability, the first thing that has to happen is that the U.S. empire should withdraw all the troops.
Why do you think people outside Venezuela think that you are some kind of a crazy guy?
Chávez es un loco. Así que yo más bien el que cree que soy
So
loco.
those who believe I'm crazy, well, God forgive them because they do not know what they're doing. They are victims of this media campaign. I'm just a human being, as you are, no more nor less, but totally devoted to this struggle for equality and justice, to see if we can save the planet. And the great crazy guy is in Washington, not here.